Good morning, Rabboisai. Special mazel tov to Gary. He made a bat mitzvah yesterday. Also, he's finally opening up the famous mikveh in Ramat Bet Shemesh that he ran so beautifully. Many people try to open it for 12 years, I think it is, and he stepped in and he got it done. So mazel tov. Lili Nishma Asimi Mirosi Rusbas Mordechai. Sponsored by Erez Baver, the famous Erez from Chicago. Lilu Nishmas Nechama Aryelei Peretz Ben Elio. I'm assuming. I mean, there's only one Erez Baver. And by Rebbe Pesach Waxman, Lilu Nishmas Imi Mirosi Lechaya Basaravi Kusil Rafal Halevi on her 41st yard site. All of her Yotzei Chalotzim are Shomer Torah Mitzvahs. Waxman, what are you trying to do here? Throw in these words that us Ponoviches have no idea. Progen. I don't know. Kids are okay. What? This is no good? YouTube is crooked. Hold on a second, Rabbi. It's on YouTube. Let's figure this out. It fell apart here. Lo yodea. Okay, something's slightly loose. How's the sound? Sounds okay? Who else do we have? We have Kalman from the Five Towns, who is very proud of his son. In the merit of Menachem Mendel ben Simcha, shkoyach to my son, Uriah Tzadik, for completing 2 weeks of Daf Yomi. See email. Okay. So we're very proud of you. Keep on going. Join us for the rest of the Masechta. Shmelke Gottman, Lilu Nishmas, Rav Avram ben Reb Oizer Levashon. And in memory of the Boston Rebbe, Zeichet Tzadik Levracha, Yartzeit is the 18th of Kislev, aka Pesachim 13, anonymous. Yes. Who was writing it? Somebody wrote to me that the day is defined by the daf. There's email here somewhere. Real quickly, we got from Rabbi Brell. Look, it's already 7:19 or 7:18. Yehuda Brecher, this is your long-lost roommate from Shomer Munim in the Mir, and Alta Chaver from Ferrako in Chaim Berlin. I get so much enjoyment watching you in your shir. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should give you continued koyach to be married. What a geschmacky guy. I haven't seen this guy, I don't know, in like 25 years probably, Rabbi Brecher. It's unbelievable. He's a principal somewhere in Waterbury. Unbelievable. Good to meet up. Listen to this. I got 4 emails about this thing yesterday, so I'm going to read the best one. This is from Dovi Gluck. He's a 14-year-old in Borough Park. Dear Rebbe Eli, my name is Dovi, 14 from Borough Park. As a New York resident, I went to the Sima Shas. Like everyone else, I was inspired to start Daf Yomi, but instead I was convinced into doing an Amud Yomi. But as it got a little hard, my father introduced me to your amazing shir, which I watch on Torah anytime. Your shir is amazing. He said it twice. Love every minute of it. Whether the beginning of the shir, or another pshat that you throw in, or the singing by the Agatha Gemara, it's really amazing. What's most amazing is the fact that there's such an amazing achdus. I can love the shir while someone from the other side of the world is also loving it. It's really amazing. To prove my point, I have this question which I saw in a magazine. I wish you bracha v'atzlacha and continue to have siyat shema, most amazing shir. P.S. Please send a message to the friends of the shir to keep putting out those advertisements. It really means a lot to me every time I see them. I think he's talking about the Ami magazine. Anyway, he's talking and he sent this picture. There's a thing called Jewish Views. I think they have like 50,000 viewers or readers. That's what they say. So ask all these famous people. Newcomb, Joey Newcomb, all these guys. Bob Moskowitz. Name someone alive that you have never met that has impacted, influenced your life. So says Bob Moskowitz, Chuck Norris. Okay, Mendy Pellin, the Lubavitcher Rebbe. Nathan Sharansky. Says the highest ranking cop in America, Deputy Inspector Richie Taylor. I'm not even going to say, you'll just read it here, right over here. That's what he says. So I got 4 emails pointing that out. So Yishkoyach, Richie Taylor from New York, a cop. Another amazing thing is that in this week's Ami, I didn't know about this until yesterday after Shir. They pointed it out to me. Shlomi Klein himself, this week's Ami, check it out. In Israel, it's on page 118, but in America, it's on a different page. I forgot already. Here, a whole picture of the Shir, and it's a beautiful story that I actually read in the email about Shlomi Klein and Yossi Klein that are not related, both from the Shir. A very touching, moving story that Yossi Klein's father, by mistake, once sent a nice check, a very large check to Almana, and when Shlomi Klein pointed out his mistake, he said, she's an Almana, I'm not taking it back. And it took him months, he didn't have money then, and he took him months to pay back, etc. Okay, beautiful. One last one, I know it's late, I gotta read this one. From Henoch Lerner, because I heard this many, many times, and that's pretty much why I said what I said, but here's the other side of the story. Rebbe, I love Yeshir. I had a surgery and I'm homebound and found Yeshir exciting. Keep on saying the sponsors and people from the 5 towns. You're right about the Chussid isn't allowed to make fun of Yushin. Although, that's what Hasidim love to do.
Your Zoom camera also?
What about my Zoom camera? Straighten it out?
Yeah, it's not centered.
Yeah, but no, it's crooked like that. It looks not, but it is. Fine.
Yeah, but the issue is they want to capture the people on the side, and the papers.
I got it. Yeah, but it's very crooked now. Here, let me just pull it in. I'll put it in, and then you can capture, and everything's beseder. Okay, fine. Now I'll go like this, back. So this guy's a chassid, and he says, although that's what chassidim love doing, he's not. He's talking for himself, I guess. However, it's very different when we're following a Masorah that tells us to accept the ruling of the Bach, and not to be makbid, because we believe it's the psak halucha, as our rebbes and Talmidei Baal Shem Tov taught us. While not being makbid on Chulav Yisrael because of Hershey's chocolate and convenience, no shita tells us to be makel on Chulav Yisrael. I love your charts and your 8 min chazura. Thanks, Henoch Lerner. So that's their side of the story, or his side of the story. Basically, he's saying he has a Masorah. He doesn't have a Masorah to not be makbid on Chulav Yisrael, but he has a Masorah not to be makbid on a Doiraisa. I hear. Okay, that's the other side of the story. What I'm trying to say is that it's a sheval val taisa. It's not a minig that you have to do. Get up and eat chodesh. You could be mekel, but you don't have to. The Rebbe didn't say you have to eat chodesh, so don't eat it. If you have the choice of sheval taisa, don't do anything. So why eat it? Well, that was my point. Okay, but they have a Masorah and they have the Bach. The Bach is not a joke. So I was just making a point. It's nobody's going to go to Gehenna for being more makbid. That's all I'm saying. Anyway. Zog the Gemara. So, we had in the Mishnah a 3-way machloikis. When do you stop eating chametz? According to Rameir, the 5th hour from daybreak is completely mutter. It's in green, mutter, check. According to Rabbi Yehuda, the 5th hour is toilin. You don't eat chametz then. But you don't burn it either. You can feed it to your animal. Rabbi Gamliel says something in between. He says the 5th hour, chulin, toilin, very much like Rabbi Yehuda. Truma, you eat. Okay, so there's green and red in Rabbi Gamliel. Truma, which you don't want to destroy with your hands, it's also to destroy truma. You could eat in the 5th hour, but chulin you can't eat like Rabbi Yehuda. Says the Gemara, we're holding Daf Yud Gimel Amud Aleph, 2 lines down. Omar Rav Nachman, Omar Rav. So they say in the name of Rav, halacha ki Rabbi Yehuda. That what? That the 5th hour, you don't eat chametz. We give an extra hour of a buffer. The 6th hour, you burn the chametz, which you don't eat. The 5th hour, you don't eat as well. So it's 2 hours where we don't eat chametz, as we discussed yesterday. Amalei, Rav Nachman. Well, there's other options here. As we just pointed out, there's 2 other shittas. You have Rameir and you have Rabbi Gamliel. Why did Rav decide that the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda? Why should I say that Allah is like Rameir? The Sasam Lan Tana say. The following Mishnah is a Mishnah Daf Chav Alephish, and it says over there, Kol Disnan, Kol Shah Shemuta Lechol Machil. As long as you're permitted to eat, you give somebody else to eat. In other words, as long as you're allowed to eat, you give it to your animal to eat. According to Rabbi Yehuda, when you give your animal to eat, it's toilin, you can't eat. So they're not dependent on each other. That halacha that when you eat, your animal eats, fits in like Rameir. Says the Gemara, he lav stamahu. That's not a good place to bring a raya from. Why? Mishum de kashya mutter. That Mishnah actually fits in a lot better with Rebbe Gamliel. Because the word mutter means when somebody else is allowed to eat. Not the animal, somebody else. Who else is allowed to eat in the 5th hour? The green guys. The truma, the kohen. The kohen could eat in that hour. Machel. That's when you could give food to your animal. So anyways, that Mishnah is not Reb Meir. So who is it? It's Reb Gamliel. Okay, so then paskin like Reb Gamliel. V'nei memar alach Reb Gamliel. The Havili Machriya. There's another reason why you should say that looks like Reb Gamliel. Because anytime you have a 3-way machlokes, or you have a machlokes, and then a third one comes, and he decides the machlokes for you, so over here you have a machlokes between Reb Meir and Reb Yehuda. Can you eat in the 5th hour? Comes Reb Gamliel and says, well, it depends. Regular food you cannot eat, like Reb Yehuda. Truma you could eat. So let's pass him like him. Says Gemara, when you have a machlokes between Reb Meir and Reb Yehuda, and Reb Gamliel comes and says what Reb Meir and Reb Yehuda said, and he decides for them, then the halach is like the third person. Over here, that's not what happened. He mentioned something that nobody ever spoke about. He mentioned truma. It wasn't mentioned at all by Reb Yehuda and Reb Meir, and therefore he's not considered a machriya. He's not the decisive psak here. Tandinav Sheikha Amar. He's just stuck in his own thing about truma. So Mela, he's to the side. Reb Meir doesn't count from the next Mishnah. I paskin like Reb Yehuda. V'bayseima, another pshat, another reason why Rav says like Reb Yehuda, maybe. Rav Damar Kaitana. He holds like this following Bryce the Sanya. Arba'asa shechali is b'Shabbos. Like in this year, Arba'asa, the 14th of Nisan, Erev Pesach falls out on Shabbos. Now, what's the problem? You can't burn, you can't do Sreifas Chametz on Shabbos. So what do? When do we do Sreifas Chametz, Rabbi Yisai? Mevarnes HaKol Milefnei HaShabbos. You have to do Bir Chametz before Shabbos. What do you do Bir Chametz to? Hakol, everything. V'sarfin Trumois, Tameois. You could burn Truma that's Tamei, Teluyois, Utahayrois. Even Truma that's edible, but it's a donut, it's bread, you burn. Now you have another day to eat it. You could eat it on Shabbos maybe. No, you burn it all on Erev Shabbos, on the 13th of Nisan. But you leave over enough for 2 sudas. What happened to Shalosh sudas? Shalosh sudas, Shalosh sudas, Sudash Lishit? Not necessary. Don't eat it. Can't eat it. Kidei lechol, and here's the punchline. Kidei lechol ad arba shois. Until the end of the 4th hour, meaning you don't eat in the 5th hour. Who does that go like? Rabbi Yehuda. The 5th hour, we don't eat. That's what it says here. Ad arba shois, divrei Rabbi Lazar ben Yehuda ish bar Toisa. This is a psak by Rabbi Lazar ben Yehuda ish bar Toisa, which, by the way, is the only time in Shas that his name is mentioned. Sha'amar mishum Rabbi Yeshua. He said this in there, Rabbi Yeshua. Amru loy tahayrais lo yisrafu. The perfectly edible food, Kohanim could eat it. Why are you burning it on the 13th? Maybe I'll find the Kohen. I'll look around. I'll search for a Kohen. I'll give. Why am I destroying? Which is issa to destroy truma. So why am I destroying a day early? Of course, they searched. They looked everywhere. There's no Kohen to be found. The Kohen that they found was up to here with chametz. He doesn't need any more of your chametz. There's nothing to do with it. What are you going to do? So burn it. Now, if you don't burn it, let's say you're sitting around and you're searching for a coin. You don't burn it on the 13th. So what do you do on the 14th? You can't burn it. So what do? So you give it to a dog. You mevatel it with your heart, says Rashi. What? You search the whole world. Maybe right behind the big wall of your city, there's a bunch of kohanim sleeping there within the tchum, and they're suddenly going to arrive on Shabbos. They're not going to have what to eat. You can feed it to them. Omar Lahem, if you're so concerned about a remote possibility, I have a different remote possibility that I'm actually really hoping for. It says one of the things that you burn the tameh, the talui, and the tar. Well, the talui is a suffix tuma. I don't know what it is. Well, Eliyahu Hanavi does know what it is. And maybe he'll show up and tell you exactly what it is. Why are you burning it a day earlier? Wait until it's already too late. Eliyahu Hanavi can't come. But he might come and he might tell you, that's tar, and go ahead and eat. Elamai, you don't have to worry about the remote possibility. You have to. What do you have in front of you? Right in front of you, you have food that's edible to a kohen. I don't know of any kohen that needs it. I can't make a fire tomorrow. I'll make one today and get rid of it. But they tell him, Amru loy, kfar muftach lem liYisrael she'en Eliyahu ba loy bar v'shabbosos v'loy bar v'yomim tovim mipnei hatoyrach. I always find this incredible. Klal Yisrael is waiting for thousands of years for Mashiach. Every day, that's all we care about, Mashiach. And he finally shows up, and now we're going to tell him, you know what, don't come today. Don't come today. Today's Erev Shabbos. I'm making chont. I'm busy. Elamai, mipnei kavod Shabbos. But it's fascinating. We have Haftacha Eliyahu Hanavi won't come Erev Shabbos. We are busy with Shabbos. So don't worry about it. You're concerned that he might come and he might point out to you that truma is not tamei. It's not remote. It's impossible. Eliyahu Hanavi can't come. Amru leizazu misham atshakav halach ger belazar ben Yehuda ish bar Toisa shomer mishum Rabbi Yeshua. Okay, so halach is like Rebbe Lazar ben Yehuda ish bar Toisa. That we don't eat. L'chayr it says until the end of the 4th hour. Ma'ilav afilu lechol, you can't eat. No. Omer Papa mishmei derava loy levair. The only thing that they accepted, the halacha like him, is when it comes to bir chametz. When do you burn? You burn it erev Shabbos. You burn it on the 13th. But when it comes to food, when it comes to eating, they didn't accept that hour. That hour they ignored. They didn't accept the whole package. They accepted the idea that if Erev Pesach falls out on Shabbos, so instead of doing bir chametz on Shabbos with your mind, you do bir chametz on Friday. On the Yud Gimel, that they accepted. But that they don't eat past the 4th hour, that they didn't accept. V'af Rebbe Sover Lahai Lahod the Rav Nachman. Rebbe also holds like Rav Nachman that Allah is like what he brought in the name of Rav. That Allah is like Rabbi Yehuda that we don't eat on the 5th hour. We give a 2-hour buffer. Bar Adam Maisa Badam Echad Shehivke Diskayo Meleo Chametz Eitzel Yochanan Chakaka. Where else in Shas do we have Yochanan Chakaka? Nowhere. Besides in our Masechta. In the beginning of the Masechta, you remember the name? Over there, they asked Yochanan Chakaka, they asked him, "No, you went to your field to check the wheat. How is the wheat?" And we're talking about Lashon Akiyah, you should talk in a proper way. So he didn't say. He said, the barley is good. Remember? That Gemara. So that's the only other time he's brought. Here's not such a clear picture of a donkey with the sky. These are the sacks. Here, the Maisa was, V'nikvu achbarim, and mice came and made a hole, and out fall the donuts. The guy is concerned. Now, he is a shomer. This guy is a shomer. He has to take good care of all this. Now he just discovered that what's in here? A bunch of chametz. And the chametz is slowly being destroyed. It's falling out. What do? Ubalifnei Rebbe. He goes to Rebbe. Now imagine, what time does he go to Rebbe? Does he wait till after Shachris? No. Shari Shoina, Omer Le Hamtein. He goes at daybreak. Knocks on Rebbe's door. Obviously, Rebbe's up, learning Torah. He says, don't do anything about it. Shniya, Omer Le Hamtein. Shlishis, Omer Le Hamtein. Wait. Maybe the owner will come back and use it up himself or do something. You take it easy. This is like Daf Yomi Magachir dream, 3 lines. Let's do it again, just for the dream. Say, okay, now you have the responsibility. You're a shomer. Go sell it. Now there are 2 options really. Why is he responsible? Either because he's a shomer and he has to do so, or it's Hashavas Aveda. Any human being that sees another person occurring a loss, he has to jump in there, step in, and take care of business. Sell it for him. He's going to have, all his donuts are going to go bye-bye. Now, these are donuts that in a couple of hours, they become completely useless anyway. So Rebbe said, let's wait it out here. Let's wait a little bit, and now sell it. Says Gemara. And when did he tell him to sell it? Shoch HaMishis. Shoch HaMishis is pretty much like Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says, the 5th hour, he can't eat anymore. Okay, so since I can't eat anymore, the owner can't eat anymore, go ahead and sell it. I didn't tell you to sell it the 4th hour. He didn't tell him to sell it the 3rd hour. 5th hour. My lav lenachrim, Rabbi Yehuda. Who did he tell him to sell it to? To a guy. Somebody that could eat it. Obviously, why did he wait till the 5th hour? Omer Rav Yosef, Lo Eli Yisrael. Now, we are very familiar from Masechtas Eruvin. Many times in Masechtas Eruvin, we had this Rav Yosef, the famous Rav Yosef, Abaye's Rebbe. And Rav Yosef became ill later on in life and he forgot his Torah. So over here, Rav Yosef says, no, I think the pshat is that he told him to sell to a Jew. No raya that it's like Rabbi Yehuda. Actually, goes like Rabbi Meir. Maybe that's what's going on here. Rabbi Meir. That Yidden are allowed to eat chametz in the 5th hour. Go sell it to a Jew. So Abaye asks his Rebbe, Eli Yisrael, Bishkel Nafshei. If you're already selling to another Jew, he's also Jewish. So let him do a favor to the mafkid and let him just use the donuts himself. Says the Gemara, an amazing concept in Judaism, amazing concept in Yiddishkeit. Mishum chashada. Each and every one of us has the obligation to make sure that people are not choshed at us, that nobody accuses us of wrongdoing. Even though we know in our heart that we are 100% clear, we're good, we're not doing anything wrong, but if they're choshed at us, if it doesn't look good for them, Yena, the other guy that's watching us, that's a problem lahalacha. We have to make sure that we come across clean. V'yisem nikim, it's a pasuk. The Sanya, and I'll prove it to you. Gabay tzedakah she'en lahem aniyim l'chalek. Baruch Hashem, the Gabay tzedakah has nobody to give out tzedakah anymore. And he's stuck with these coins that will rust. Partin la'acherim ve'im partin la'atzmam. He takes the copper coins and he exchanges them for silver with somebody else. You don't take from your own pocket silver and do a switcheroo, and even though you're giving tzedakah the best rate on the market, somebody's going to be watching, and somebody's going to say, you know what, he's probably pocketing for himself some profit over there. And you don't want other people to talk, even though it's not true. Gaboy tamchui, and those giving out food, she'en lam aniyim lechalek, they have no one to give, everybody's doing well, Baruch Hashem. Moichrim la'acherim ve'moichrim la'atzmam. They don't sell to themselves. They're biased. Sell to other people. Mishum shenemar v'yisim nekiyim me'Hashem u'miYisrael. There's a special pasuk that tells us we have to be clean. UmiYisrael, that's the chiddush. Me'Hashem is one thing. HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows that you are clean. You're not pocketing in any money. But that Yisrael, that guy on the side who sees you, he might think that you're doing wrong. So you have to be completely clean. I was thinking about some maises, what I could say here, because there's so many, and I didn't really have some bomb one. I want to tell you 2 quick maises, short maises. You can use this for your Shabbos table. Maisa number 1 with the Chazon Ish. He was walking in Bnei Brak in those days, without any pavement, and it started to rain, and there's a lot of mud. Pulls a truck over and says, Rabbi, hop on in. So the Chazon Ish looked at him, he says, is this a company truck? He said, yeah. He said, do you have permission to take me? He said, most likely they would let the Gadol Adar come with me. He said, if you don't have specific permission, I refuse to go, and he kept on walking. V'isim Nikim. And another amazing story, I don't know if it's Mamish V'isim Nikim, but a beautiful story nevertheless, with Rabbi Isser Zalman Meltzer. Rabbi Isser Zalman Meltzer was Rabbi Aaron Kotler's father-in-law, and Rabbi Shneir Kotler's grandfather, and they both came, Rabbi Aaron and Rabbi Shneir came to Eretz Yisrael to visit the grandfather, Rabbi Isser. And Rabbi Shneir was getting married in America right after that trip, and they were leaving Rabbi Isser Zalman Meltzer's house, and Rabbi Isser Zalman Meltzer walked down the stairs and hugged them and kissed them, but he wouldn't go down the stairs completely. And they asked Rabbi Isser, what's pshat? Why didn't you go all the way to the taxi? Go. Everybody else goes all the way to the taxi and waits. Why did you stop halfway? And he said, because it was just right after the war. He said, there's a lot of neighbors watching here, and they don't have what I have. They don't have a grandchild getting married. And I didn't want them to be sad like that. Unbelievable. But anyways, I don't know if it fits in 100% V'isim Nikim, but it's a beautiful story nevertheless. Rav Yosef. So going back, remember, this is Rav Yosef. This is the famous Rav Yosef that had trouble later on in his life, recalling his learning. Befeirush Amrislan, you told us, Mefurish, Tseyu Machram L'Nachrim Ki Rabbi Yehuda. You're telling me that no, it might be going according to Rabbi Yosef decided later on in his life, this could be going according to Rabbi Meir, that the halacha was, go sell it to a Jew. No, you specifically said back in the day, before you got sick, go sell it to a non-Jew, and the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, that in the 5th hour, you cannot eat chametz. So it couldn't be that the halacha was sell it to a Jew, because at the 5th hour, you can't eat it. Zog the Gemara, Rav Yosef, Kiman az lo hashmaitz the Rebbe. Who does this go according to Reb Shimon Gamliel? This is not. Hamavke peretz es chaveroi. Afilu ein avudin lo yiga bahem. Amazing halacha. You see that the fruit are starting to rot. Don't touch it. It's not yours to touch. You're just a shomer. Reb Shimon Gamliel oimer moichem bebezdin. No, you have to save the guy. Mipnei hashavas aveda. We have a mitzvah. What's the difference if you find a stash of money, a wallet, not money, a wallet in the street, and you go and you search all over the world for the guy, or a bunch of fruit that's rotting, the guy's going to incur loss, you have to help him out. But do it in a bezdin so nobody talks. Says Abayo, wait a minute. Don't say that Rebbe is going only according to the shita that you could sell it in a bezdin. When do you have a whole issue of selling, not selling, when it's the typical loss? But when it takes on a new loss, and here we go again. I'm searching for the what do you call it? It's Noirvayim, these 3 sponsors. Here we go. When you have an incredible loss, such as in our sugya, in chametz, as soon as it turns 6 o'clock, it's over, it's finished, it's also ba'ana. So sell it. Try to make some money for the guy. Everybody agrees that when the fruit starts rotting out of control, you have to sell it. There's no machlokes in that case. The whole machlokes is if it's rots normally, 1 apple a day, whatever the normal is, Rashi talks about it. Okay. Sponsored, the turning of the daf by anonymous from Lakewood. And by Kalman, Lili Nishmas Menachem Mendel ben Simcha, and today, L'schus' son, Uriah, for doing Shas. And third, sponsored by the Fine and Pearl families in the Schus of Refuah Shleima for Mendel Elkabas Edel. Zog the Gemara. Everybody agrees that if it rots out of control, you sell it in Bezdin. Bottom line is, a shomer, regardless, he has to take care of it, either because Shavas Aveda, because that's his chiv as a shomer, but he'll take care of it. Says the Gemara, okay, easy sugya. By the way, heads up, Tomorrow, Be'ezer Hashem, we're starting the famous sugya of Rav Chananya Zgan HaKohanim. It's a week-long sugya of Tumah. And I'm encouraging everybody, don't be scared of Tumah and Tahara. I know it sounds scary, and people start checking out when it comes to Tumah and Tahara. Here's the opportunity to learn the sugya properly and know it for all of Shas. There are going to be halachas here that are brought, all of Shas comes back to these dapim. We're going to have charts. It's going to be geschmack, so don't miss Motzei Shabbos. And usually Motzei Shabbos and Friday are the weakest shiurim in terms of viewership. So don't do that. Click, watch it, double speed, whatever it is, but make sure you don't miss the first daf. First daf is going to be easy. As this Amud right here, Void Amar Rabbi Yehuda shtei chalois. So Rabbi Yehuda says in the Mishnah there were two breads that were positioned. That everybody saw if there's two breads, you could eat chametz. One bread, get ready. Don't eat chametz. And no bread means burn the chametz. So do you read it with a beis? Gav on the back of the bench? Meaning, how tall is a bench? 2 feet up? So imagine you have hundreds of thousands of people coming to the Beis Hamikdash with the Korban Pesach was out of control. And they placed 2 tiny breads on a bench. That's 1.5 feet off the ground. What is that going to accomplish? That's hiding it. So Memela Tani al Gagait Staba. Today, you have to read it with a gimel, not a base. Aleph, base, gimel. You're 1 letter off, he tells him. Gag, not gav. It's on the roof. They used to have, it looked almost like a bus stop in nowadays. You have a bench on the bottom and a covering on top to protect you from the elements, from the rain, from the sun. So put it on top. Now that's higher up. I have a picture actually. This is from Pirush Chai. I just added the challah here. So here's the Roman beams. Here's your bench. On top of the bench, Agagat Staba. Omer Achaba, Omer Yehuda, Harabai Stav Kofel Hoya. There are 2 rows of these benches. Amazing. Think about it. You're going to Beis Hamikdash, you're going to Harbai. It's beautiful. Benches everywhere. Sit down, eat, relax. Double. 1 in front of the other. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Istavanis Hoysa. It was called Istavanis. What's Istavanis? Istavanis is like in front of the store. They had like a bench, like a table. The merchants used to put their goods outside of the store. So it was called Istavanas. Stav lifnim mistav. It's a bench in front of another bench. What kind of breads did they use? So the Mishnah tells us that they used breads that were from a carbon taida, and they were puzzle. We're going to see there's a shita that says mechulik on our Mishnah, another tana that says they were kosher. Now, compile the list here of halachas that are important to carbon taida. I don't know if we have to go through all of them. How much time do we have? Let's go through some of them. And we'll see them inside the sugya, very simple halachas. Carbon taida. A person had a nace. Let's say John Gruen, what's his name? Yaakov Yehuda, that we said Tehillim for. Stephen Sokolow. What's going on with Stephen? Anybody see Stephen Sokolow? Comes out of the hospital. In the time of the Beis Hamikdash, he waits and brings a carbon taida takadosh baruch hu. It's an animal and 40 breads. 30 are matzah, 10 are chametz. As soon as you hear that word chametz, that tells you that you cannot bring a carbon taida on Pesach. It's chametz. Could you bring a carbon taida erev Pesach? Why? You're going to have leftover chametz, maybe. So that's a machlokes. Could you bring erev Pesach or not? Now, another very important halacha for carbon taida is that a carbon taida is eaten the day you bring it and the following night, and that's it. Anything past that is called lina. It's more than the time, it went past the time, and it becomes possible. What else do we have here? We have zrika. So you do shchita. By shechting the carbon taida, that gives a gedusha saguf to the bread. It becomes kodesh. And you could only eat the bread once the kohen sprinkles that blood onto the mizbeach. Then it becomes mutar ba'achila. We'll see the halachas if he says zuzis, this okay, fine. What happens if the blood spills? We'll see in the Gemara. Okay. That's about 12, 13 halachas here in the sugya that you could pick out from the sugya, including Rashi and the Rishonim. Fine. Says the Gemara, I don't want to confuse you. It's a very simple sugya. Don't think that we're going into all these crazy halachas. It's very simple. Amai psulos. What happened here? Why are these breads puzzle? Imagine. So, Dr. Gruen, right? He's the doctor that wrote that email. He said he has a karsa toiv to the Olam because we said Tehillim for him, and he's a doctor for 33 years, and he said COVID is a terrible thing. Okay. Imagine he has to wait. He's not going to go to the Beis Hamikdash now. It's a trek from where he lives. So he's going to wait to Pesach. Anyways, he has to go for Korban Pesach. So imagine how many people came with their Korban Taitas. You have all the Korban Pesach. You have all the Korban Taitas. It's out of control. 40 breads per Korban. Yeah, tens of thousands of breads there. Who wants these breads? If it's me, myself, on a random Friday afternoon, I can get people to eat it. But there's so much going on there. There's plenty of bread that's going to waste. The Sanya Mevim Toida b'Chag HaMatzah is you cannot bring a Toida on Pesach itself. 10 out of the 40 breads are chametz. Pshita. What's the big chiddush? Of course, you can't bring chametz. The big chiddush is that I can't even bring it on Erev Pesach. Because there's an isser for me to put the kachim in a bad position. Typically I have, let's say, almost 24 hours to eat my korban, and now I'm limiting it to 5 hours, whatever it is. I'm shechting it in the morning, and I have to stop eating my bread at the 6th hour, whatever time. We paskin like Rabbi Yehuda, you can't even eat it in the 5th hour. So you're bringing mevim kachim lebeis hapsul. I'm bringing it to a situation that's not good for the kachim. I'm passing it. I'm ruining it with my own hands. Everybody agrees that you can bring it the day before, on the 13th. So what happened is, the Gemara tells us like this. Tens of thousands of people are coming. And how many people had COVID those days? And they're all bringing korbanos and saying, thank you to Hashem, da-da-da. And now you have so many breads that are going to be possibly pasha. You can't consume it yourself. It's impossible for one human being to eat 40 breads. Chaval, you guys didn't come with me. Levi Friedman came. It was only him, I think. We went to the bakery and the guy makes these korban, these lechamim. You should see what it looks like. Massive. There's 40 of them. The kids are. So obviously you can have them. You're allowed to bring it on the 13th. No isser. And there's so much of it that it's going to go overnight. It's going to be puzzle. So I take some of that puzzle bread and I put it on top of the bus stop. No, I'm a chulik. Those breads were kosher. And why does the Mishnah say? In other words, I set aside the bread for my taida. So it has Gdushas Damim. It's a much lesser Gdusha. It's a lower level of Gdusha. I can redeem, I can do all sorts of things. It's Damim. Why? Because I didn't shecht the animal. The shechit of the animal lifts up the Gdusha, brings it to the next level, from Damim to Gdushas Haguf. Says the Gemara, V'nishchait. So what's your problem? Go ahead, shecht it, and it'll be Kaddish, the full Gdusha. Sha'avad HaZevach. The animal ran away. So bring another animal. No, that you can't do. He said it specifically. This is the bread to this animal right over here. If this animal runs away, this bread is stuck. If the bread was lost, you can bring other bread. Of the toida, but if the animal got lost, maybe toida acher. My time and why? Lechem glal toida, vein toida glal lechem. What's the iger? What's the tafel? The animal is the main part. The bread comes because of the animal, not the other way around. So if I lose the animal, it's too late. The bread goes bye-bye. As the Gemara, it's only Kedushas Damim at this point. You didn't check the animal. So go take it, redeem it. Redeem the bread and go eat it. Take the money, but do something else with it. No, you're right. There's a shchita here. And if there's a shchita, what happens to the bread? It jumps up to the next level, Kedushas Haguf. V'nishbach Adam. What happened was, they didn't have a chance to sprinkle the blood. The blood spilled on the floor. spilled on the floor, then I don't have the right. Then I don't have the right to eat it. But it's still Kaddish Kedusha Haguf. So what do I do with the bread? I can't eat it, but you don't burn it. It's not chayiv b'sreifa. It's not puzzle yet. It only becomes puzzle once it's left overnight. At this point, I'm stuck. I have bread I can't eat because the blood spilled. But this bread is Kaddish Kedusha Haguf. So Mela, let's put it on the bus stop. Let's put it on the stab. Come on, Kirebi, the Omar Rebbe, Shnei Dvarim Amatir Malim Zebeloi. There are two things, as the Gemara is going to explain. The Sanyo Kifsei Atzeres, the sheep that we bring on Shavuos, together with the bread. The bread only becomes Kaddish through Shechting. Keitzad, Shchotim Lishman. If you did the Shechita and you said in mind, I have in mind for the Shavuos, Kifsei Atzeres. V'zarg Davin Lishman. You did everything properly. You threw the blood, you sprinkled the blood with Lishma, with saying this is for Shavuos, Kifsei Atzeres. Kiddush Alachem. Then automatically the bread is Kaddish. Shchotim Shalei Lishman. However, if I shechted my kvasim with intent, I said, instead of thinking to myself, this is Kifsei Atzeres, I said, this is a carbon taida, completely different animal. Shalei Lishman. V'zarg Davin Shalei Lishman. And then I also sprinkled Shalei Lishman. Like Kiddush Alachem, obviously there's no Kedusha. Nothing happened to the bread. It's like shooting the animal in the head. You didn't do anything to the animal that should create Kedusha on the bread. You had the wrong intent. Shchatam l'shma, but what if you did half and half? You did the shchita l'shma, and that's all the bread really needs in order to go up in Kedusha to Kedusha Zaguf. V'zar agdam shalei l'shman. But I didn't give myself a heter to eat the bread because the zrika wasn't good. Lechem kadosh ve'enoi kadosh. So, you have it in between here. It's kadosh that it becomes puzzle. The bread becomes puzzle if you take it out of the Beis HaMikdash. It's kadosh to the point I can't do b'di'ah. I can't be paida. I can't redeem it anymore. It's so kadosh. Kadosh Kedush is a guf. On the other hand, it's not kadosh. Why? To the point that I can't eat it. I can't eat the bread. What about the meat? The meat you could eat. But you eat it as a shlamim. It's not complete. You eat it as a shlamim. Fine. The zero kedusha here. So we're going like Rebbe, that it's kaddish enough, but not kaddish. Says the Gemara, no, this could go like everyone. You did Kabbalah. What are the? I forgot. Not everybody was here by Zvachim. There's 4 steps. You shech the animal. You take a cup. You receive the blood as it's squirting out. Then you walk. That's step 3. You walk towards the mizbech, and then you sprinkle on the mizbech. Step number 4. You did step number 2. You received the blood in a cup. However, before you got to the mizbech, it fell on the floor and spilled. Happens. Rebbe Shimon holds like his own father. Who's Rebbe Shimon's father? Shimon. It's very interesting. It's as if you sprinkled it. It's about to be sprinkled. Halachically we'll say it's sprinkled. Yet, it's still usher to eat. It's not 100% as if you didn't sprinkle it. It's keilu you sprinkled it. If you sprinkled it, you could eat it. But since you didn't sprinkle it, you can't eat it. But it's enough to say that it has the kedusha. And that's why we use those breads, because you can't eat it. You can't eat it, but it has full kedusha, like Rabbi Yanai says. It has full kedusha, because kalaim and lizar kizargdom, it's as if you sprinkled it, but not to the point where I could actually consume it, so put it on the bus stop. Tana Mishum Rebbe Lazar Amruk Sheiro saw you. The breads were kosher. When everybody saw the 2 breads on top of the stab, everybody ate. Comments. But if they removed one, Thailand, they wouldn't eat, but they wouldn't burn the chametz. Nitlu shneim. Once they removed the 2 breads, that was the sign for Klal Yisrael. Tchilu kulim sarfim. Tanya b'shol oimer. Shtei parsa v'charshois. It wasn't bread. It was 2 cows plowing Bahara Mishkan Harazeisim. Calls same exact thing. Calls when there's two kolam oichlim, everybody ate chametz nitlachas mem toilin. They removed one cow. They were pretending that they were plowing. It wasn't a real plow because you're not allowed to plow sometimes. Erev Yontiv. So people stopped eating chametz. But once they removed both cows, hitchilu kolam sarfim. That's when they had the side. They looked up on Har Zeisim. It was easy to see, I guess, better than the tztaba maybe. Large cows, not small breads, up on the hill, and that's when the sign was that's when you burn the chametz. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful Shabbos. Don't forget Tumah starting on Motzei Shabbos, 7:15.
Kim Chaslicha Leman Tivorei. Kivitzina Kipsa Nafshi Velevra Chalti. Nafshi Ladna Mishamim Laboiker Shumim Laboiker. Yechelis Ala Ladonai Kim Adonai Chesed Rabbein Oifidus. Ve'huif Tesisal Mekol V'Nesal. Acheinu Kovei Sisal Nusinum Batzal B'Shiva Amdim Ben B'Yam Ben B'Yabal Sham Makim Yerachim Aleim V'Tzim Mitzal V'Chom Peil Le'Orim V'Shivit L'Gula Hashla B'Glav V'Zman Koi V'Namar Amei.
Amen. Shkoyach Boy side. I go to Shabbos. Shkoyach. Thank you. Agun Shabbos.
You saw the message about Zevi?
About Zevi. Who? Zevi. Yeah, I saw. I thought that's what you meant. I also got the video, but I didn't see the whole thing. I saw the birthday video from what's his name? Put the video on the group. I think no, unless the I didn't see the whole thing, so I'm not thinking Achrayis. Be'ezar Hashem, I'll look at it soon. Zevi's on with COVID. Pshee. What about the chat?
It can't be the worst thing that went on the chat today.
What happened? Let's hear what happened.
There's no way anyone knows what went on the chat. There was like
400 messages in 1 hour.
400 messages over. I didn't get any work done.
What happened?
Everyone had what was in it.
Not the Zoom chat, the WhatsApp chat.
I guess I'm lucky I'm not on that chat.
And the previous day was 600.
600 messages on the chat?
Yesterday.
Does anybody learn? Does anybody learn Torah during the day?
It's not working.
That's what happens when school's boring. Yeah, Rabbi should be very proud that he has managed to cause an entire tzibur to be Mavatal's man.
Wow, five-ish. Wow. All right, Rabbi, say go on the chat and give him a piece of your mind.
I think what the Kioni means is that he's managed to create after. That's what the it takes me 20 minutes just things.
Wow. Five-ish. Sharp today. But what does that have to do with me? I'm not even part of this chat. I was never on that chat. I don't even know what you're talking about. So blame it on me. Fine. I'll take responsibility. I'll take it.
Can I take a moment to make a plug for Simon Cohen's concert on Sunday's part 2 of the concert? It's a fundraiser. It was a beautiful concert part 1 last Sunday. Everyone should participate this coming Sunday. I'll post it again.
Can't we just go and stand on the mountainside and listen?
Shabbos Akiva.
Ellie's a surprise guest.
Well, he's gonna sing?
Definitely. It's going to be a concert style with lots and lots of people. There were 700 people last week, and they all paid.
700 people. But Rabbi Isai, I had Chalisha Sadas now. For a concert, there's 700 people. But for Zoom, it's 150. For Torah, it's only 150. What's going on here?
And they paid.
And they paid. Yeah. Over here, it's the opposite. Over here, they say, "What do we get for the siyum? Are there any gifts for the siyum? Is Eli going to give us something?" What do I get? What do I get?
You get Olam Haba,
Yeah.
I get complaints.
Rabbi said, there's a bizayon. I was watching, I clicked on this YY Jacobson yesterday, he did something on marriage. The thing was, why do so many people get divorced in our days?
Oh, I saw that.
Why are you watching it, Gedalia? You're 14 years old. You shouldn't be watching this. Isn't it a Gael Maisa? Anyway, hey daddy, I saw YY Jacobson said, anyways, it's beautiful. He started out, he said such gewaldige stuff. But my point is that he had 1,000 people on Zoom. 1,000. He maxed out. He couldn't go weiter. Like, people couldn't watch it.
Very difficult.
1,000 people.
1,000, by the way. You need a special license to go anything over 500. And most people can't get it.
Really?
If you want more than 500, you have to get a special license.
Yeah, I think we are maxed out at 500. I think that's what it is. I didn't realize that you...
Almost impossible to get the 1,000 license. Almost impossible.
Simon, it should be our biggest problem, no?
You kill the Zoom service.
What did he say?
He said amazing. Mamish amazing. No, he said, I'll tell you what he said. I wanted to use it as Shever Brachas, but he said that Yaakov Avinu wanted to marry Rachel. And instead, he married Leah. I'm saying it in 1 second. He said, Rabbi said, that's every marriage. You want to marry so-and-so, you think she's so attractive and unbelievable and smart and this, and you end up with Leah. Everybody thinks that they're Chassan and Kala, the most perfect in the world, and eventually you realize, hey, it's not what I thought. But that's what the Torah says that you should do. You're supposed to, Yaakov Avinu became Yaakov Avinu because of Leah. She brought him to his full potential. I thought it was very nice. And the way he kept on going, he had a lot of good stuff. Check it out. It's only the first 15 minutes.
But after 7 years, you can then marry the other one.
So you know what, Simon, I'm going to add to what he said. According to what you just said beautiful. Once you come to the idea, the realization that this is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave you, and you accept it fully, then she turns into a Rachel. It might take 7 years, but that Leah turns into the Rachel. I'm saying, who does she tasai?
You work on yourself for 7 years, then you realize that she's really well.
You don't realize, but not everybody realizes that, Menachem. Not everybody realizes. You have to come to the realization.
It usually goes the opposite. Men marry women hoping that they won't change. The woman marries the man hoping she will change him.
One thing is for sure. If you think you could change one little thing of any person, that's the biggest mistake that anybody can make. Zero. You're not going to change one little thing.
I think we should turn off YouTube.
It's gewaldic.
They like it. Just for you, it took me 7 minutes, not 7 years. 7 minutes.
8 minutes. 8 minutes out, you know.
I thought he married Rachel straight away.
Really?
7 days later.